On today's episode, three-time World's Toughest Mudder champion Amelia Boone and men's reigning champion Trevor Mendoza on the recent changes to Tough Mudder. Welcome to the OCR Report podcast, brought to you by the OCRReport.com. We are the only podcast to focus exclusively on the elite sport of obstacle course racing. From Spartan to Tough Mudder, to the OCR World Championships, and wherever the elites are racing, we are there. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the OCR Report. Welcome back to the OCR Report podcast. My name is Will Hicks. Thank you for listening. So this has been kind of a crazy week. 24 hours ago, Tough Mudder announced that there would be no prize money for any of their races in 2019. That is TMX, Tougher Mudder, Toughest Mudder, and World's Toughest Mudder. The biggest shock to most people is that they have removed the prize money from World's Toughest Mudder, which is their flagship race and has been since the company began back in 2011. Even back in 2011, I look back at old pictures, and there was prize money for World's Toughest. Juliana Sproul's won the first World's Toughest Mudder as a woman, and Junyan Pak won as a man. They both received a check for $10,000. Second prize was nothing. Like I said, they just announced this about a day ago officially. The news leaked out the night before when they sent out a bunch of emails to ambassadors and past athletes. People started posting pictures online. So what does it mean? You know what? We're not 100% sure yet. It's kind of a weird time for, people who are not just Tough Mudder fans, but obstacle course racing fans. Amelia talks about it in her interview in a minute. She's concerned for the future of the company. Other people have talked to me and said they're concerned about the future of the industry as a whole. What's the truth or what's the reality is that we don't know. No one knows. But I get it. If obstacle course racing means a lot to you, these are like scary days. These are like, whoa, what's going on? We don't know. But I want to tell you something. It's going to be okay. If Tough Mudder went away tomorrow, the friendships you made, the races you ran, the changes you made in your life, all of that is still real, and it is still a part of you. And no one can ever take that away from you. Tough Mudder is just a business. It's a great business. It's one that we enjoy. It's one a lot of people enjoy. But if it disappeared tomorrow, your life would go on, and your friends would not disappear. There are other races. There are other physical challenges. Kris Mendoza, the men's defending champion of World's Toughest Mudder, talks about that in his interview in a few minutes. That, he's looking for new challenges. He loves World's Toughest Mudder. But World's Toughest Mudder is not the only extreme, exciting... It's not the only obstacle course race out there. Kris and Trevor Cichosz are going to run against each other in Australia in a 24-hour race. So it's going to be okay. Our guests today are Amelia Boone and Trevor Mendoza. Amelia is the three-time champion of World's Toughest Mudder, the only woman to win World's Toughest Mudder more than twice. Rhea Coble is back-to-back champion. She has 2 wins. Amelia has 3. And because of the changes Tough Mudder's made, Rhea will not be at World's Toughest Mudder this year. So Amelia's reign on top is secure for now. Kris Mendoza is the men's reigning champion. He won his first World's Toughest Mudder title last year with a thrilling finish against Trevor Cichosz. Kris passed Trevor less than a mile from the finish line to win the race with 100 miles. Trevor Cichosz also finished with 100 miles a few minutes behind Kris. So we talked to them about the changes Tough Mudder is making and what they think about it. Before we talk with Kris and Amelia, thank you for those of you who have left a review on Apple Podcasts. You are too kind. If you could do the same, I would appreciate it. Open the Purple Podcast app on your iPhone or iPad. Search for the OCR Report. Click our logo, then scroll down to click Write a Review. I would appreciate it. And, of course, you can always email me at willhicks@gmail.com with any thoughts or comments or feedback on the show. I would love to hear your feedback. We're in early days for the podcast. So we started a podcast focused on the elite racing side of Spartan, Tough Mudder, OCR World Championships. And like a week later, Tough Mudder's like, oh, hey guys, by the way, no money this year. Thanks, Tough Mudder. Next time, tell me before I start this whole podcast. My gosh. We're not going anywhere, though. Don't worry. There's lots of obstacle course racing to talk about. It's time to talk with Amelia Boone and Kris Mendoza. Let's go to the phones. Amelia Boone, thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Amelia, how did you hear the news that Tough Mudder would not be awarding prize money at World's Toughest Mudder and their other races this year?
Somebody actually pinged me on Twitter last night and asked me how I felt about it. And I go, that's strange. I hadn't heard that. So then I went onto the Facebook World's Toughest Mudder group and then saw the thread there. So that's how I found out. And first I saw somebody had copied and pasted an email. I go, well, I didn't get an email, so it can't be real. I was like, oh no, it's real.
You've been a big part of the Tough Mudder community since the very first World's Toughest Mudder, and you've earned your share of prize money from Tough Mudder with your 3 wins at World's Toughest. Mm-hmm. What do you think about this move by Tough Mudder?
It doesn't really trouble me. So I'm not sad about the lack of prize money. I think that most people aren't upset either, really. The vast majority, because if you think about it, it's only like a handful of people who are winning prize money. I think what's more troubling to me is just that what it potentially signals for the overall health of the company. And that's what really saddens me. It's kind of like the whole quote unquote ship be sinking type of feeling. But if doing away with prize money can help them right the ship, then I fully support it.
It's kind of scary, right? This has been a big part of a lot of our lives for almost a decade maybe. And the thought that it could be gone in a year or two is scary.
Yeah, and it kind of hit me last night. I didn't really expect to feel to be kind of really emotional about it, but it was the first time that I considered that, this could all go away, because it really caught me off guard that they were doing away with all prize money. I thought at least there was prize money for World's Toughest Mudder from the very beginning, the 2011, I think it was either 10 or 15K to the winner, but it was winner take all. But there had always been money attached to World's Toughest Mudder. Not that any of us ever did it for the money. Most of us were just trying to survive the night. I think that to me was very wow, okay, they're actually really in trouble if they're doing away with that. I thought at least maybe they would do away with TMX, because that was a huge payout for something very, very small, and then, or do away with Tougher Mudder. But then, to cut it completely across the board, was really crazy to me.
Do you think this is a Tough Mudder issue, or do you think this might be symptomatic for the whole industry?
I don't think it's symptomatic for the whole industry. I think that I frankly feel that Tough Mudder got away from its roots, and they expanded really, really rapidly with all of these different series, giving away a bunch of money, and I feel like it was short-sighted. And unfortunately, I think for better or worse, I think what troubles me is that I don't think the industry is going to do well if the industry is really just Spartan Race. And I say that with the utmost love for Spartan, but I think to have a healthy OCR industry, we need multiple companies. And yes, we do have smaller companies out there still. There's still Savage Race and Rugged Maniac and things like that, and support your local races. But I think having the Tough Mudder Spartan duo is something that is really necessary for a vibrant community, and it would be a huge detriment if Tough Mudder went away. And I haven't seen any signs from Spartan that they're hurting, but who knows? They have a very different business model from what I know, or at least from what I gather. But yeah, I think it would be more troubling for the industry if Tough Mudder disappears, to be honest. Yeah.
You were quoted in Scott Keneally's movie, Rise of the Summerfest, saying that if there were no pictures, would you still do this race? And I thought of that with the prize money. Most of us have no chance of ever winning prize money. But on the other hand, we like to watch Ryan Atkins battle against Trevor Cichosz and Kris Mendoza. You and Allison Ty and Ray Coble race each other. There's a sport aspect of it, too, that I'm afraid we might lose.
Yeah, I think so. I think that people love that sport aspect. But at the same time, I mean, I think that there was a way for Tough Mudder to keep that sport aspect, and I think that was like keeping it with World's Toughest Mudder. I think it was like when they had all these different smaller, like Tougher Mudder, I don't know how large the Tougher Mudder waves were, but it didn't make sense, I think, to have competition every single weekend. But I think that to entice people to run for 24 hours, it's nice to have some kind of carrot at the end. There would be some of us that will do it regardless. But I think at least of bringing in names for people that, in alphabet or worse, the vast majority of the competitors are doing this as a full-time gig, quote unquote, elites. And so they look to that prize money to pay their bills. And so I think we may lose some of that aspect. I really hope that people will still come out for World's Toughest Mudder. I feel like I probably can't say anything considering I haven't run it for the past 3 years, but that hasn't been because I haven't wanted to. It's just my body hasn't been cooperating during those times. So yeah, I can't say how it's going to affect it, but I really think it will dampen a lot of people who will come out for the events.
What about you personally? Does this make you more excited, less excited, or the same about?
It's a weird. In a weird way, it kind of makes me more excited because it makes me. It's almost like I don't want to say it's going back to its roots because it wasn't voluntarily. In a way, I think it's like it really shows people that do this stuff because they want to do this stuff. And I kind of liken it to ultra marathons. People go out and run 100-mile race for a belt buckle, and even in the the top echelons of ultra running, a lot of these really competitive races don't pay anything. They don't have prize purses at the end of the day, but people still run them and competitive athletes still run them. So I think that there is, for me personally, it doesn't really affect anything. And I think that maybe people will see that, you don't have to have the money there, the prize money attached at the end of the day to do it. But, I don't know, to be honest, so we'll see what happens. Frankly, at this point, I'm worried that we're even going to make it to another World's Toughest Mudder, based on how events have unfolded. So.
Whoa, hang on. You mean 2019?
Yeah.
That's
I mean, I'm not making it. I don't know anything. I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem good, to be frankly honest. I hope you do. Now I want to run, World's Toughest Mudder 2019 because, what if it's the last one? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if you followed it at the time, but when Battle Frog closed their doors, they closed them fast. Yeah. It was like they were open. They were Super Bowl ad one day and closed the next almost.
And I get it. And look, and hey, and I'm, a former bankruptcy attorney, so I understand how quickly things can go south. So that's perhaps why I'm not as optimistic. But I don't see this as a good sign. In terms of financial health of the company. I hope that I'm wrong. I will be completely honest. I hope that I'm wrong. I really hope they can pull it together because I would really like to, go back for another World's Toughest. Regardless of what's attached to the end of it.
we're early in the year. It's January. World's Toughest is in November. What's your plan for November? Will we see you out there?
I don't know.
Will we be out there?
I don't know. Will anybody be out there? I had always said that I won't go back until they take it back to Jersey, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, I have plans to be out there, and definitely if it seems like it's going to be the last one, then yes, then it will be coming full circle for me. Back from when all of us in 2011 were like, we're doing this for a kettlebell. It was, so yeah.
Amelia, do you have any sponsors or anything you'd like to plug?
Nah.
How can people follow you on social media?
They can follow me on Twitter at Amelia Boone, on Instagram at ARBoone11. And I do have sponsors. I'm just saying I don't need to plug them. They're all fantastic, and I love them. So,
Amelia, any last thoughts on Tough Mudder, World's Toughest Mudder?
Tough Mudder, please don't go anywhere. We need you. It really kind of got me choked up. So I may be doomsdaying it, but I'm really, really hoping that they can pull through, because I think that it's really important just for our industry as a whole to have at least two healthy, vibrant companies putting on these races.
Amelia Boone, thanks much.
Thank you.
Kris Mendoza, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me on again, Will. First time of 2019. Feels pretty good.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
So we're talking this morning. Tough Mudder announced that for 2019, none of the races, including World's Toughest Mudder, will have prize money. You are the defending champion of World's Toughest Mudder. What do you think of this?
For me, it's really disappointing, and it's not. I don't want to sound like whiny, they're taking away the money. But for me, it was kind of cool. They were the first ones to have this epic 24-hour race. And, they brought a lot of competition in, through prize money. And they had all these extravagant prize purses and cool things like that. But for me, I think I'm just the most sad about World's Toughest not having a prize pool, because I think that less people are going to be attracted to the race. I think it doesn't have as much pull for some of the quote unquote elite athletes. So for me, that's just a big downer, because they've always had prize money for that race. I mean, I could understand them pulling away from certain other race series that they have, but for World's Toughest, that was pretty disappointing.
Have you planned out your race schedule for the year? Are you planning to be at World's Toughest now?
Well, I put together a definite, what I thought was going to be our race schedule. And I think that announcement kind of changed some things up. As far as World's Toughest, not 100% sure. I kind of want to see what the Spartan 24-hour race looks like, just because I'm curious. They haven't really announced anything. The only race right now that I have for sure, on my schedule, is OCRWC Enduro, and then I'm running 100K in a few weeks. But besides that, I'm sure I'll run at a toughest, but I think that I was planning on running more. One of the big things with these 12-hour, now that they're 12-hour races, it just takes so much out of your body. The recovery from that is a lot. So I think while I was planning on, doing 2 to possibly 3 even 4, potentially, we're looking more like at 1 or maybe 2.
Doing 1 or 2 toughest runners.
Yeah. Just depending on how the season kind of rolls out and how my body's feeling. I think that for this, it just how I feel is going to dictate a lot more. I'll probably make a few more last-minute decisions, because there's nothing. I mean, besides the great experience and the people, it's there's not as much enticing me to go run a race and then try. For instance, I was planning on running Toughest Philly, But to run that race and then 3 weeks later try to run a 24-hour race, now I'm like, well, there's not much that's enticing me to try that.
Sure.
So,
that 24-hour race you're talking about, it's the one in Australia that Alison Tai won last year.
That's correct. Yeah, so I talked to her a little bit about her experience last year, and I've always wanted to go to Australia, and I've always wanted to go to New Zealand, so planning on making a couple-week trip out there, hang out in Australia, run a race, hopefully go to New Zealand for about a week, and then, it should be fun.
You and Trevor had an epic finish last year at World's Toughest Mudder. You passed him in the last mile of the course to win your first World's Toughest title. You and
Wait,
Trevor.
Really? That happened?
That's a true story. I'm kind of recapping for the people who haven't, reminding everybody. I know you remember. You and Trevor have both told me separately that the reason you initially started running World's Toughest Mudder was because you wanted to find the hardest, baddest race out there. And like your first year, you got 50 miles, right? Like cash money wasn't a consideration back then. But without the money, I don't know if that race between the two of you would have happened last year. I don't know. Like you said, several top elites will still be there, but we're not going to have the same field as we've had in past years.
Yeah, and I think that some like my previous answer why I started running World's Toughest Mudder, like I was trying to find a super hard race, something to challenge myself. You're not saying I won't go back, but it's less enticing because I'm just looking for the next really hard race, something that I haven't done before, something that excites me. Not that World's Toughest does it, but there's so many different types of races, whether it's like this just because I haven't run it, like OTRWC Enduro, perhaps the Spartan 24-hour race, wherever the heck they decide to have it. There's a bunch of ultra marathons that I really want to run. So there's like a lot of different opportunities, and I just think that that's a huge part of my decision to go back or not, because these 24-hour races, these really long races, they take a lot out of you. So like I'm finally back to like training and feeling normal like the last few weeks. So it's you definitely want to make sure you give yourself time to recover, and there's a lot of stuff to explore. So
that's a good point. If you're not going to make money anyway, why not try something new that you haven't done before? You've already done World's Toughest. Let's do a 100-miler. Let's do a Ironman triathlon. Let's do something else.
Yeah. I have a bunch of races that I eventually do want to run. I'm definitely going to be running OCRs this year. I love running those like obstacle course races, but I'm like a huge fan of the mountains, so I love running like hilly, mountainous races. Those get me excited, so I'll probably try to run a few of those types of races, and obviously I like the long stuff, so I'm still planning on doing some endurance OCRs, but like you said, like 100-milers or 100K races or just ultra marathons. Definitely no triathlons for me, but yeah, those are all things that really excite me, and I'm hoping to do in the future. So kind of just figuring out when to do it, if now is the best time or if I should wait a few years, but it's always volatile. So I think this is just one, because like this isn't my livelihood, them taking away the money doesn't mean I'm not going to run it, but it makes it less enticing, I would say.
Sure.
And I also think it's just like like I said before, it's like I'm not 100% sure what the field is going to look like without, a prize purse of some sort. And I like to compete, I like to, push myself and have other people pushing me. So I kind of want to see where the competition is.
Have you looked at the Spartan US series or any of the Spartan races? Other than you talked about the 24-hour race in Iceland. I actually am planning on doing 2 of the mountain series. But besides that, I don't really have anything planned. Like I said, I was planning on doing like 2 or at least 2, if not 3, potentially 4 of the toughest, but
Not 100% sure about that now. I'm planning on doing a Montana Beast and the Breckenridge Beast, which both happen to be part of the mountain series. I just wanted to run those races, and so I might end up hopping in one or two more of those. I mean, for me, it's just, I'm not great at something quote unquote so short, but I just really, really enjoy the mountains, and so running those races I'm really excited about. So I mean, even Big Bear now is an option just because I love that course. It destroyed me last year, but we'll see.
For you personally, is there any feeling like, hey, I just won this whole thing, and this is my race now, and you're taking away all my competition and all my potential cash prizes next year? Is there any emotion attached to that?
I mean, it's definitely I guess in some ways it is like a slap in the face, but in other ways I'm just this might sound bad, but I've never felt any loyalty from Tough Mudder, just because there's always been things where they're like, oh, we're going to offer this prize, and then they take it away, and then I don't know, and a lot of people know how difficult it might be to get some of their prize money and things like that, and it's just, I don't know, I'm not taking it personally. I just, because I've kind of realized that at the end of the day, they're running a business and they're going to do what's in the best interest of the business. So, yeah.
Does this give you
It doesn't make me happy, but it's kind of just what it is, I guess.
You think it might be kind of karmic justice for their late payments over the last year or so?
I wouldn't call it justice. I'm not surprised, because I've heard of them having from what I've understood, some financial trouble. So I'm not actually surprised that they made this move. But I think that there were other areas that they could have, I guess. I think there were areas that they overreached in the past few years. At least that's what it felt like to me. So
sure.
For me, World's Toughest Mudder was the event that got me into obstacle course racing. And so I love this event, and I love just the camaraderie and the competition that it brings. And I'm sad that they took away a part of what is World's Toughest Mudder. So I'm hoping that it doesn't affect the race too much, but I'm not naive. I know it will.
Part of me hopes that Tough Mudder has this history of making bad decisions, like taking away all the finisher T-shirts, or rolling out 2 5-mile loops. They have this history of making bad decisions, but then they get feedback and they listen generally, and they change and they come back. They change the T-shirt thing, they change the loops thing, and so part of me is hopeful. Hey, they've done similar stuff like this in the past. Maybe they'll change it back after a bit.
Yeah, I mean, that was my first thought when I woke up and saw it this morning. I was like, yeah, I know they're saying this, but there's always a chance that they change it. I've talked to some other people, and I think the sentiment that I've been hearing is most people can kind of understand taking away certain prize money, but for their big race that they're, at least for a lot of people, they're known for this 24-hour race, to kind of take away. I would just call it take away the competition or the competitive draw to it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I found it kind of sad. So, yep. So I'm hoping that, like you said, they decide to kind of call an audible and maybe bring some prize money back to that race. But I'm kind of realistic about it and just kind of taking it as it comes. So I haven't really planned anything that late in the season, and now with this, it's definitely up in the air.
They don't have Merrill.
If I run.
They don't have Merrill to bail them out with gift cards this year.
Yep, no Merrill gift cards. I'm still working with Merrill. They're a great company, so I'm still going to be doing stuff with them, and they've been awesome to me, and I still get to work. With the team there, and I'm just super fortunate. So definitely, it's kind of weird because I guess my I don't know. I'm definitely loyal to Merrill because they've just treated me so well and awesome. So I'm excited to see. I know that they're taking part in the Trail Ragnar races, so I'm going to definitely hop in a few of those with a Merrill team of some sort. So it should be good.
Talk about that. Is Merrill sponsoring Ragnar this year?
Yeah, from what I understand, they're sponsoring Trail Ragnar, specifically the Trail Series. Like, I think they have a different sponsor for the normal Ragnar, but there have been talks of us making like a team through Merrill, things like that. So I think that's a really good, place for Merrill, just with their trail shoes that are awesome. I think that they'll get a good group of people at those events. I'm definitely sad that they aren't working with Tough Mudder anymore, but I think that this is a great space for them because they are so focused on getting outdoors and focused on the trail. So I think that it should be it's a pretty fun opportunity.
What other sponsors are you working with?
Yeah, so right now it's mainly Merrill, and then I just recently became an ambassador for Ultimate Direction. They make like a lot of packs, like utility belts and then like hydration packs, things like that. And then I'm also working with some of the DO ambassadors, as in like the sports, the gels and the goos and things like that. Stroop waffles, all the good food. So I got food, I got packs, and I got gear. So I'm pretty good to go right now. Feeling pretty lucky.
Kris, how can people find you on social media?
Kdoza04 on Instagram and Christopher Mendoza on Facebook, and you can insert the song right there because I know you probably already did. So,
did you make your name Christopher Mendoza on Facebook on purpose?
Hashtag blue for it. See what I did there? No, I think it's just Chris. I don't know what it is. Is it Chris? It could be Christopher. I don't know. I just said Christopher just so you could put the jingle in.
I'm not sure what jingle you're talking about.
Christopher Mendoza.
No idea. Oh yeah, it is just Chris. So never mind. Just Kris Mendoza. Chris with a K.
Kris, any last thoughts on Tough Mudder, World's Toughest Mudder this year?
I hope they listen to the community. That's all I have to say. Yep.
Christopher Mendoza, thanks much.
Thank you, 5-star Will. 5 stars. That was Rhea crying because she's so sad that they took away World's Toughest Mudder and Toughest Mudder prize money.
Special thanks to Amelia Boone and Kris Mendoza for appearing on our show this week. Well done, you two. Come back anytime. We will resume our regular race coverage soon, but this is a big deal, you guys. That's why we're talking about it so much. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and I will talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.